Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Literally. C- can we just agree that 3 episodes in and already Rwby Volume 6 is tearing out our hearts? I thought it couldn't get any better. Not that I actually like this storyline, because this storyline is foreshadowing an enormous amount of despair. But this flashback, while of course, as usual, it doesn't answer all the question, it does actually in a way redeem Ospin, revealing that why was he keeping secrets? Why did he not want everything to be known? And why is he a man that considers himself full of mistakes? The reason being because he doesn't believe he can stop Salem. The reason believing that all of this was his fault and 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 her fault. All of this is a trial, a mission by the gods that in the end could they be called the true antagonists for all of this. This is why he is so harsh on humanity, because he has lived for so very long that if unless humanity is united, there is no hope. Rwby, Volume 6, Episode 3. The angry anime fan here to bring you to it. Just a flashback as Jin explains the entire history of Salem and Aspin, aka Asma. This is how it started. Salem used to live in a lone clock tower until a hero came and rescued her. A la Rapunzel, right? That hero was Asma, who we know as Aspin, voiced by the same voice actor that actually voices his recent incarnation. I guess that's why Oscar was chosen. And they two fell madly in love after the rescue. Alas, though, Ozma suffered a sickness at a very young age, and so Salem sought out the help of God of Light, because it turns out this was a world of magic, a world filled with it, and the gods of light and darkness existed, as Aspin once told that story. However, it wasn't exactly as he said, which is very true, because it turns out the god of light and darkness were both in a way evil, just as much as they were good. They were in a way of I decide what is right and what is wrong. The god of light, the one who gave birth to everything, well, that is actually the wrong, it was the shape of man, the one who created everything, refused to bring back Ozma because death and death and living was part of the natural cycle. So Salem in grief went to the god of darkness, who did revive Ozma. However, only because Salem didn't tell him that she went to God of Light first. So God of Light appears. God of Darkness was willing to revive Ozma because God of Light did not own them. And everyone has their choice in life, showing that the God of Darkness had a little bit more flexibility in it all. However, once he heard that Salem had gone to God of Light first, the brothers put aside their differences. You all remember that when apparently the brothers put aside their differences, turns out the story about doing that was a little bit more black and white than we thought it was. They only put aside their differences because they blamed Salem for this. They consider her unworthy of all of this. Or in essence, she didn't understand the weight of life and death. She didn't understand the compassion that there are some things you have to accept and there are some things you cannot accept. Meaning that she must be in balance. So they cursed her with immortality in order to make her walk the earth eternally until she understands the weight of life, and took away Ozma, which was reborn in that moment. In grief, Salem tried to kill herself but couldn't. So she assembled all of humanity to fight the gods because she considered them unworthy. She considered them high above everything else, and the fact that They were the gods of life and death. They could have brought happiness to the people, but instead they only brought sadness. Alas, though, the brothers felt that was too arrogant, so the god of darkness destroyed everything. Yes, no, truly, he destroyed everything. Every single humanity except Salem, because she was immortal, died by his hand. And that, my friends, is why Remnant is named Remnant. Because the God of Light said this was a fun experiment, but now it is only a remnant of what it was usually was. The brothers only created the earth that we know because they considered it an experiment, not because of anything else. In the end, we should perhaps consider the gods the true antagonists of this arc, or not arc, of the story in told, because of their choices. Salem became the villain she was. And do you know why we always see the moon up there half broken? Because when the god of darkness departed, he destroyed it. And so the only one left was Salem, who believed that the only way to end her pain was to jump in the pool of God of Darkness, which is the same kind of pool of the Grimm are born for. Actually, we do not learn in this story why the Grimm are created. I mean, unless of course we count Crow's story. Alas, that did not kill her, but it did warp her mind. So Ozma was revived then by the God of Light, but he withheld and lied a little bit about what the story has been told. He he didn't tell her that because Salem raised an army, the god of darkness destroyed everything. He only blamed the destruction of the god of humanity on his brother, the god of darkness, when in essence he was just as guilty, and said that in time humanity will kind of prosper again, but that would be a remnant of what it shall once was. So he, sorry, so it was the god of light who left behind the four relics, the knowledge and all those things. And according to him, gathering them all together will bring back the god of light and darkness. However, if humanity, which for some reason is reborn, actually I don't know if it's told in this story, but apparently when Ozma returns, humanity has been reborn. It's not exactly stated on how. Is it possible Salem did it? Or did I miss something? You can correct me if you want. Anyway, my point is the God of Light and Dark will judge the humanity if they are brought together. If humanity has learned to work together, they will prosper again. But if not, they will be annihilated again, and this time for good. Unless, of course, and the only way to do that is to kill Salem, because she is currently leading humanity astray. So Ozma was reborn, took on their will, especially when he learned he was reunited with Salem, who is this time was his love. They met again, they reunited, and they became rulers of the kingdom, which started the story on how the humanity was united by the royal family. And they even got family, beautiful daughters. However, when Ozma saw what Salem had become, the fact that Salem wanted the gods to be suffered so they could be destroyed, showed that Salem had become much of a god complex. It wasn't no longer about reuniting with her lost love. She sincerely believed that humanity in this scenario only can become good or better if they are ruled by her, since she came from the old world. In fact, it was during this time the fauna had been created, but we do not know how. So Osmin tried to flee with their children. Alas, Salem tried to stop him, and the daughters were killed. After that, Ozma was reborn over and over, and in time, but in time he always came back to the mission of trying to destroy Salem, and he came to live with his reincarnations. Alas, the final question he had to the relic, which is another reason why he never acknowledged the relic as a person, was he asked the relic how to destroy Salem, and she only coldly told him he can't, which he fell to despair. And that, my friends, sorry, this review is way longer than it has to be, but that's just how much information was into this episode alone. That, my friends, is the truth. Ospin, aka Ozma, didn't want them to know this. Because that means, in a way, they all probably fell in their knees in despair. Salem, that Salem perhaps cannot be destroyed. Or Jin perhaps was telling a white lie. She's saying he cannot destroy her, but perhaps they can. And also, if the relics are united, which Ospin intends to do, then the gods will be summoned, and then they will judge this world. And you do know how the world is, right? They will destroy it. He wanted to keep that a secret because this is a heavy burden, not to mention everything he has been going through. Ospin is a man of pity. He is. Everything that they has been living was for his love. But in the end, he made so many bad choices that he is living with the eternal pain that he is reincarnated. But he perhaps will never destroy the immortal Salem who wishes to rule humanity and destroy the gods. And now they're gonna bring back the relics. Will that really stop Salem? Because he's thinking that he will summon the gods to do it for him. But if the gods get summoned, they will all be judged. My friends, or anyone is listening, this is suspense. I have no idea what to say, but I can tell you one thing. This episode was a heartstring in my heart. I'm actually gonna cry. In essence, as I said before, the real antagonists are the gods. If they hadn't been like that and that, this wouldn't have happened. At the same time, Salem didn't appreciate that and that. In the end, it's just God and Satan are both jerks. Not to mention, the God of Light only brought back Ospin because he wanted to stop Salem, who he believes is disrupting the current humanity, which in essence she is. But this also explains why she is so disdain about everything. She has lived that kind of life. And this also explains again why Ospin does not fully trust humanity. Because unless, and why he is so adamant about having one thing in an order. Because disarray creates not only the grim, it will only make the gods judge them harder. A bomb of an episode. And when I mean a bomb, I mean whoa. But you can give me your thoughts if you have any.